Good morning. Are you Holly
Morning.
Myers?
Yes, I am.
All right, thank you for checking in a timely manner. The
Yep.
attorney for the other side isn't here yet. Let me put you in the waiting room for just a moment. I will let you know we're going to be recording this. We're live on the Zoom platform and YouTube, and it is recorded as required on recording system. So let me put you in the waiting room, and as soon as they come, I'll bring you back. So thank you for checking in a timely manner.
Okay, not
As I mentioned, even in the landlord-tenant area, the civil attorneys, this attorney is from Chicago, and hopefully they're on Michigan time. It's only 7:30 in Chicago. Judge McManus, whose picture there is in the portrait painted, he was an early morning guy. He would get up at like 5 a.m. and have breakfast and come into the court by 7 every morning, and he started at 8:15. So for 50 years, we started at 8:15. We get a lot done between 8 and 9 o'clock, but most courts don't start this early, particularly in the criminal area. We get a lot done starting right at 8:15. Sometimes there aren't enough hours in the day, but if you start at 8, you get a good head start. So I get here every morning by 7:30, turn everything on, and try to be ready by 8. I am fearful that they aren't going to be here. The other problem with Zoom is I'm stuck in this chair. In the old days, the defendant would come in and wait, and I would be in chambers, and then when the other side came, I would come in. Now I'm here, would be looking at an empty courtroom waiting for the other side to show up. And for those of you watching, I'm not talking to myself, but I guess I'm talking to all of you also. We have a visitor here who is a retired attorney and had many years of practice in another state.
How did you start Zoom?
COVID. Michigan had purchased Zoom licenses for all courts in 2019, and nobody used them. COVID hit in the spring of 2020, and the courts were shut down. In fact, no one was here. Me and the administrator would come in the morning and do the criminal arraignments. We were shut down. And the Supreme Court said, we have these Zoom licenses for all the courts. So in April and May, we all turned them on and had to learn how to do it. And frankly, we weren't very adept at it, or at least we got lots of glitches. I had several. And now it's become just a common part of how we practice. Somebody wrote an interesting article this week that one of the judges shared, that the young lawyers don't get the same level of mentoring by Zoom that they got with live appearances. They would talk with the other attorneys in the waiting room, or they would just be here. It's different, but it certainly is more efficient than to have somebody drive from Chicago or Kalamazoo or even Three Rivers or Sturgis for a 5-minute pretrial. My fear here is that this law firm literally is on the wrong time. Good morning.
Good morning.
My fear is that counsel for the plaintiff are on Chicago time. And where it's 7:37, they aren't here. So if you didn't show up, they would be asking for a default, meaning that I would find in their favor. So I'm just sitting here shooting the breeze, I guess, with a guest, waiting for them to show up. I'm gonna give them until 8:45. So I'll put you in the waiting room again.
Okay.
And we will see if anybody shows up. Very frustrating. Because what'll happen is they'll show up at 9:30. I won't even be in here. Then they'll move to set the default aside. I'm gonna take a flyer here and call them. I'd be very surprised if I got an answer.
Thank you for calling. This is Amanda Patenzo. I'm on a recorded line. My call may be monitored for quality assurance. With whom do I have the pleasure of speaking with today?
Good morning. My name is Judge Jeffrey Middleton. I'm a district judge in Centerville, Michigan. Your firm is representing JP Morgan Chase Bank in a case this morning at 8:30. The attorney of record is James McCardle. We have a pretrial at 8:30. I've been sitting here for 10 minutes waiting for him to show up or someone to appear on behalf of your firm. The defendant is here and in the waiting room, and I'm waiting for someone to appear on behalf of your firm.
Okay.
Let me give you the title of the case. It's JP Morgan Chase Bank versus Holly Myers.
Holly with a P?
Hollie.
Okay. All right. I'm sorry, what was your name?
My name is Judge Jeffrey Middleton.
Okay. Give me 1 second, because I'm actually in our New York office. Let me have my manager give a call over to him. Can I just place you on hold, or do you want me to just have him? Do you want me to just give him a message, or?
Well, I want him to be here. I'm sitting here virtually with the defendant on hold, staring into a blank wall, waiting for someone to appear on behalf of the plaintiff. If it were the defendant, I probably would have issued a default, but I don't want to do a default and then have them come in and move to set aside. One fear I have is they're on Illinois time, which is Central Time, and we're on Eastern Daylight Time. So it's 8:40 here, it's 7:40 in Chicago. Anyway, no one is here, and so yes.
And it's a Zoom, or
it's a Zoom.
Okay. Can I just place you on a quick hold?
Yeah, that would be fine.
Okay, thank you. Please hold.
Oh, boy. That's terrible. Soulless music.
But does Judge Patterson Zoom his?
He Zooms his domestic relations docket. He doesn't YouTube. No one live streams here but me. He said he was thinking about starting again, but most judges don't live stream. But there's a level of transparency that comes with letting everybody see what you're doing, including this part where I'm sitting here twiddling my thumbs.
I guess I meant YouTube and ask about Judge Patterson.
There are lots of judges around the country that do it. The Supreme Court, of course, the composition of the Michigan Supreme Court has changed some, but they were originally very strongly in favor of live streaming. People have opinions about it. There are pros and cons. Certainly, if you're a defendant and you didn't sign up to be live on YouTube, there are all these people that have various YouTube channels and talk about anything and everything. They have commercials and they generate some revenue. Nobody wants to grow up to be an architect or a lawyer. They want to be a YouTube content provider or a TikTok star. Good morning, Ms. Myers, once again. I have called the law firm and I'm sitting here listening to some very bad hold music. So I figured you could join in on that. If I have to listen to it, maybe you should too.
Okay.
But I'm not sure what's going on. I've got a staff from New York who's calling Chicago to find out why nobody's here.
Okay.
And what would happen, and it may happen, is you would move for a default because it didn't show up. I would dismiss the case. Then they would file a motion to set the default aside. We'd have to have a hearing regarding that. And if it was granted, we'd start all over again. So
Okay.
as frustrating as this is, it's probably better in the long run to just try to get it accomplished this morning.
Right.
So here we are. Yes.
So we are having one of the attorneys, my manager's on the phone with one of our attorneys there. We are having one of our attorneys, because the attorney that was handling it is no longer with us. So we have another attorney that will be.
Well, there are two names on the pleadings, James McCardle or Brittany Law.
Right. Mhm.
All right. Thank you. Do they have the Zoom information?
We should, but can I get that just in case? Okay, any other information for that or just dial that number?
Dial that number. We're just sitting here idly.
Okay.
All right.
I do apologize.
All right. Thank you. All right, Miss Myers, I'll put you back in the waiting room.
Okay.
Well, this is pretty exciting. Fortunately, I don't have a very busy morning. If this were to happen in the middle of a crowded docket, it would be very disruptive. Once again, the world's most boringest live stream. Good morning. I'm sitting here for 40 minutes waiting for a law firm to log in for a civil complaint.
They were due at 8:30.
They were due at 8:30. I'm about to enter a default, but I didn't want to drag the litigant on the other side through the whole motion to set aside default
They in the
rigmarole.
waiting room?
Yes. All right, I'm going to bring Miss Holly Myers back and go back on the record. Good morning, Miss Myers.
Morning.
I'm sure you're frustrated. You've been sitting there. I've been sitting here actually in the courtroom doing little waiting. I'm going to call the case officially. This is file 23897GC. It's entitled JP Morgan Chase Bank versus Holly Myers. And that's you?
Yes.
The bank is represented by the law group by attorney James McCardle. There's also another attorney's name on the pleadings, Brittany Law. Neither of those attorneys have appeared. This matter was scheduled for 8:30 this morning. I've been sitting here for 45 minutes waiting for someone to appear on behalf of the plaintiff. Called the law firm, got a staff member in New York who about a half an hour ago was supposed to have someone log in from Chicago. At this juncture, no one has appeared on behalf of the plaintiff. If the shoe were on their foot, if the plaintiff were here and the defendant was not, I wait about 10 or 15 minutes. And if they don't appear, the plaintiff asks for a motion for a default and a judgment would enter on behalf of the plaintiff. In this case, it's the plaintiff that has failed to appear. This is a claim for a lot of money, $5,448.72. At least that's a lot of money to me, plus cost, interest, and attorney fees. That lawsuit was served on Holly Myers, and she filed an appearance. As far as lay persons doing their own pleadings, she did a nice job. Essentially, she denies all of the allegations in the complaint, which gets you past a default. Probably would not get past a motion for summary disposition. Plaintiff is not here. Ms. Myers, have you had any contact with this law firm at all?
I did try to reach out to them, I want to say probably a month ago, to try to reach a settlement. and I could not reach a settlement with them. I don't know who exactly I spoke with. It wasn't one of the attorneys. I couldn't reach one of them. So I think it was just some representative answering the phones. But I could not reach a settlement at that time. So that's the only contact that I've had with them.
Are you going to ask me to dismiss this matter for their failing to appear in a timely manner?
Yes, sir.
All right, I'm going to grant your motion to dismiss. What I expect is that somebody somewhere will wake up from slumberland and take a look at this case and realize they've just foregone a $10,000 claim on behalf of their client for their negligent failure to appear at a hearing. And then they will probably file a motion to set aside the default. And so we would have another hearing at which time we would discuss that. They have to show good cause as to why they did not appear, and they have to show a certificate of meritorious claim. But I guess if I'm going to do it for the plaintiff, I had to do it for the defendant. So I'm going to do an order dismissing this case as soon as I step down from the bench. As I said, I've been here now for about 50 minutes waiting for something to happen, and it's been a half an hour since I called them. That's unfair to you, and it's unfair to the court. I'm sitting here out of consideration for you, frankly. I would have granted the default a long time ago, but you're going to have to go through the rigmarole of appearing on a motion to set aside the default. At any rate, they've gotten as much indulgence from me as they're going to get here this morning. I will grant your motion to dismiss. Are you still at the Laura Lane address, Lori Lane?
Yes, I am.
All right, I will send you a copy of my order dismissing this case for plaintiff's failure to appear. And then we'll see what happens next.
Thank
But
you.
as of now, the case will be dismissed. All right, you're free to go.
Okay, thank you for your time.
All right, thank you. That's why I'm here. Okay, well, I'm gonna go dictate that order. I won't be back here until about 10:30. So this might be a good time for you to go out to Yoder's, get a donut, have breakfast, look around, buy your wife some mums. I'll see you in a bit.